Hey guys, how's it going? So I hope you're having a good day today, and I hope all is going well with you. So today we're going to do another radio story, and this is related to the prior radio story I did, where I talked about WNEW 102.7 FM in New York City when they dropped their longtime rock music format for FM talk, which turned out to be an absolute disaster. And I talked also about in the video about Opie and Anthony and a couple of their antics over there, and what ultimately led to them being terminated from WNEW, and basically with them being fired, that pretty much doomed the format, whatever tiny bit of luck that they had left with that format. I did want to touch on one thing I forgot to mention in the video. In the prior radio stories video, and this was kind of a funny note. Now, I talked about the day the station changed formats. They changed formats at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and Opie and Anthony discussed that WNEW didn't die last week, it didn't die the other day, that it died years ago, and basically the funeral was just waiting to happen. So to commemorate that, they actually had an on-air funeral for NEW. They got, obviously you couldn't see it on the radio, but they had sort of an event where they had a casket with all of WNEW's, like, some memorabilia and some stuff in it. And then they had a lady singing, you know, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye. And it was a pretty funny bit. But to fast forward a little bit, after Opie and Anthony were fired, the talk at 102.7, or Hot Talk 102.7, the talk you can't ignore, pretty much went into free fall. And they had trouble filling the day positions. I want to say Tom Likas was gone by this time. I can't remember, but I believe his show was gone by this time. And they had like 3 time slots. They had Ron and Fez. And obviously it was repeats of shows. And then they were even introducing brokered programming at one point. So things were pretty dire over at the station. Well, the end of Hot Talk came in just a little bit after the holidays in early 2003. It may have been more towards the end of the month. Hot Talk was officially dumped, and for the next for about the next 6 weeks, well, no, I guess it would actually almost be 3 months, come to think of it. Maybe 12 weeks, maybe 10 weeks, something like that. The station's stunted with contemporary hit music. And, you know, they kept saying something new is coming to 102.7. And it kind of led a lot of people in the market and in the radio industry speculating on what this new format could be. And as time goes on, they were talking about how it was going to be a completely different format, and that possibly it was going to focus on like entertainment and lifestyle and then music. So sort of some kind of a fusion kind of format. Well, after the stunning ended, they had a launch event, and the station launched as 102.7 Blink. Not Blink 102.7 or, 102.7 The Blink. Just 102.7 Blink. And that's kind of difficult because it kind of leaves you hanging, like 102.7 Blink. Okay, what else? What am I supposed to do with this? And they had a big launch event, and I believe it may have been carried on E-Television, but they had a personality from E-Television on there, and I think they had a few celebrities and everything on there, and they were talking about what the station was going to be. It was going to rotate around your favorite music, entertainment news, and essentially they basically described the format as entertainment hot adult contemporary. Well, this kind of, from the get-go, this was confusing. But I will say that it was a creative idea. One thing that they did that was sort of innovative for its time was that you could request a song on Blink by using AOL Messenger. Yeah, that's how things were in 2003. There were no texts, there was no Facebook or Instagram or X or anything. You used AOL Messenger. Now, I never used AOL Messenger myself. I always used Yahoo Messenger. There's a couple of people I talked to on the internet at the time used Yahoo. But AOL was really the big one. And you might kind of laugh at that now, but yeah, that was pretty innovative back then, that you could request songs by by AOL Messenger instead of, calling the number as you would back in the day. So they would play a set of music, and then they would do entertainment news. And a few people tuned in at first. After a few times, it just left people confused because it seemed like it was a station that was trying to be sort of three different things when they only should have been focusing on one thing. Well, the ratings were marginally better than Hot Talk, but not by much. And Blink's logo came into question too. It was bright pink with black lettering. Or it might have been white lettering. I think it was black lettering. And the station earned the name Barbie Radio because it sounded like something Barbie would listen to. Obviously, the station was targeted towards females, but with that logo and everything, by the station's detractors, it became Barbie Radio. And that did not help things. Well, by the fall of 2003, they kind of dropped the entertainment part, and they were calling it, I believe it was Blink 102.7, music that women love. And then they tweaked it, then they may have tried tweaking a little bit over the weeks, but that didn't seem to help either. So the end of Blink came, I believe it was right at the end of the year, and they stunted with Christmas music. And usually if a station is stunning with Christmas music, not always the case, but I mean, like if they change their name like to Santa or to North Pole Radio or something, usually that the format is toast. They didn't use any of that, but they just kept saying something's coming after the holidays. Well, the station, after the holidays, relaunched itself as a mainstream adult contemporary station as Mix 102.7. And then over the years, the names changed. Like I think it was Mix, it was Fresh, and today it's NEW, 1027 New. And 102.7 today does pretty good in the ratings. They're constantly in the threes, so they're doing well, and they've done even better since the demise of WPLJ. But that Blink format was kind of interesting. And I guess the question would be, was it ahead of its time? Was it an experiment gone wrong? I think it was an interesting idea, but I think it was an experiment gone wrong. It was one of those things that look good on paper, but in real life, it's just a big old cluster mess. So that's what happened with that. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And as always, guys, have a great rest of your day.